How you can win your first Hyrox. Okay, today I'm really excited and confident to bring you lots of insider tips and tricks to help you win your first Hyrox. It's a big, bold statement. Not everybody can win their first Hyrox. Not everybody watching this can win their first Hyrox. Mathematically impossible. However, this video is just to give you insider tips and tricks that I've learned, that I've been fortunate enough. I won my first open Hyrox, and then I won my second race, which was my first pro Hyrox. So hopefully this information can help you either win your first Hyrox or podium your first Hyrox, or get the very best out of your body and mind on the day in your first Hyrox. It's not all about winning. Some people have no interest in winning, and this video is designed to give you all of that information and that you can take it and hopefully put it to use in your first Hyrox. We're going to go through choosing the right race category, training method, training plan, mindset, and simulation. You can then take all of this information and use it to help you win your first Hyrox. Number one, choosing category. In Hyrox, you've basically got two categories. You've got open and pro. Basic difference between the two is the pro level is a little bit heavier weights. You can also choose to do solo, doubles, relay. There's a lot of different options there for you to choose. Whenever you sign up for a Hyrox, you'll also get the opportunity to do a free physical fitness test. Hyrox typically put these in the cities where there's going to be a Hyrox race 2 to 3 months before the race itself. So it gives you plenty of time. Go along, do the fitness test, and that will help you decide which category you should go into. So to give you an example, whenever I signed up for my first Hyrox race, which was for Dubai, I initially signed up for the pro level. I did the fitness test and I just missed out on what was the standard for the pro level. Now, the guys were very helpful and they said that, you could do pro level, especially if a really good structured training plan. However, they advised for your first race, maybe do open. And I would suggest for most people to do their first Hyrox race, unless you're already an elite level athlete, do open. Drop the ego, it'll probably be much more enjoyable. The great thing is about Hyrox is, you can go onto the website and change. So I had signed up for pro, but for a small fee, I was able to change back to open level. So you've chosen your category. Next up, number 2, training method. You've got a lot of different options here when you want to consider your training for your first Hyrox. Number 1, you can go it alone. There's a lot of information out there, YouTube, Instagram. Hyrox is blown up globally. And depending on the type of athlete or, fitness person you are already, you might just want to go it alone. Do your own running, do your own strength, do your own station work. The negatives of this is you never really know if what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing. And that anxiety can lead to poor performance in your training sessions. Therefore, I would suggest maybe one of the other 2 options. Number 2, online training. Again, Hyrox has blown up over this last number of years, and there's so many online coaches, and a lot of the online coaches are from the elite 15 men and women. So there's some amazing coaches out there with their online training programs, and you can sign up to those and get great advice. The pros and cons of this are, the pros, it can be quite affordable. Monthly isn't too expensive. You're getting great access to experts, and you'll know you're learning from people that have done it all before you. So it gives you that confidence. It can also be very good for people that maybe don't have a Hyrox affiliated gym in their area. Some negatives of the online program is if you don't have all the equipment that's needed, you're limited. So anybody can typically go out for a run, but if you don't have a sled push or pull, you're probably at a disadvantage. The third option is to sign up for a Hyrox affiliated gym in your area and community. This is a great option because the pros of this are you'll be working again with a Hyrox expert, or should be an expert, at least educated or experienced in Hyrox. They should have all the equipment that you'll need. You'll also get to train in an environment with other people, which can help boost your performance. For example, for me, I started off just training on my own and I wasn't sure what I was doing, so that was giving me a bit of anxiety. But then I also noticed when I signed up to the gym, I push myself a little bit harder when I'm training amongst other people, so the competitive side there. Now, that's not to say that every Hyrox gym is super competitive. There's a lot of people are there just to stay in shape and they're not going to do a Hyrox race at all, and that's perfect. However, that camaraderie can help in certain situations. You've also got the social fitness aspect of it, which I think is very, very important for mental health. It gets you out of the house, it gets you training among people that generally all of the same goal, which is to go there to help improve their fitness and to be among people. Some of the negatives of Hyrox affiliated gyms are not everybody has access to one, can be a bit of a commute, and it can be expensive. But the great thing is there is a blended approach for all of these. So for example, I know a lot of people that have an online training coach and then they also train at Hyrox affiliated gyms. And a lot of the online training coaches encourage this as well. So they'll say, yeah, do your 3 to 4 runs a week, do your couple of strength training sessions in your own gym, and then go to a class a couple of times a week if you really enjoy classes. And a lot of people do, and I do as well. Okay, next up is training plan. This can really depend on you as an individual. So what I'm going to give here is quite generic. And it also depends how many weeks you have until your race, whether it's 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. But for the purpose of this example, I'm going to say it's 12 weeks until your first Hyrox race. What I would do is I would divide those 12 weeks up into 3 blocks. From weeks 1 to 4, I would focus more on strength and compound moves. Weeks 5 to 8, I would bring the strength down a little bit and go more muscular endurance. And weeks 9 to 12, I would focus a lot more on the classes and the stations and the skill involved in the stations. Let's take a closer look at that. Throughout the weeks 1 to 12, I would be running 3 to 4 times a week, regardless of which block we're in. But let's say for the first block, weeks 1 to 4. So you do 3 to 4 runs a week, you would do 2 to 3 strength sessions a week, and you would do 1 class a week. It's what I would do. Those strength sessions are the focus, and it's a lot of big compound moves, deadlifts, bench, squats, that type of thing. You want to build up the strength but also have the running going. Hyrox is over 50% running, hence why you have to be running 3 to 4 times a week if your body allows it. If you have injuries, you can swap out 1 or 2 of those runs for cardio work or on a bike, on a ski, or on a rower, swimming, that type of thing. Absolutely fine. You're just wanting to build up that base fitness level. Okay, the middle block, weeks 5 to 8. I would do 3 to 4 runs a week as usual, but I would then bring my strength sessions down to 2 times a week from 3, and then I would add another class. So we're going 2 classes instead of just 1. Pulling back a little bit from that big compound strength, but focus on muscular endurance. So a little bit lighter weights, but probably higher reps. And I'm also bringing in that extra class to really start to get used to those moves and also to get used to running from your run into the station and then back onto your run again, which can be called compromised running. Okay, next up, third block, weeks 9 to 12. This would be 3 to 4 runs a week, only 1 strength session a week, and then 3 classes a week on average. The theory here being that we're pulling back from that really heavy strength work but keeping a little bit in. We're increasing the classes to 3 times a week. This is to focus on the station work, to focus on the skill, okay? Things like wall balls are probably one of the more skillful stations in it and the one that can really hurt a lot of people. Sled push and pull, sled pull, rope management, this type of thing. So those last 4 weeks you're fine tuning. Hopefully you've built up a good bit of strength in the first block. Your running and cardio has been consistent throughout, and now we're focusing a little bit more on the station work. Mindset. Okay, so you've signed up for a Hyrox race. You're going to be on that start line. Adrenaline is going to be building. You're going to be running out there. There's going to be hundreds of people around. The music's pumping, the energy's going. It's brilliant. You're in an arena. It's amazing. You're living like an athlete. In order to perform like an athlete, you need to have the mindset of an athlete. And what is an athlete? Sometimes when we think on athletes, we think on paid NBA basketball players or Formula One drivers. But really, an athlete, what do? They are athletes, but an athlete goes to bed early, gets good sleep, they eat well, they've got their nutrition, and they train hard. And that's the same as what you're going to have to do as well if you want to perform well. So it's all about the mindset. You want to make sure you're prioritizing your sleep. You want to make sure that you know that you're getting enough food in and good food and know what your macros are, your proteins, your carbs, your fats to fuel these training sessions. You want to be focusing on things like recovery, so saunas, ice baths, deep tissue muscle massages, that type of thing. And the mindset is also as much about saying no to things as it is to saying yes to things. So for example, yes, you have to say to yourself, get up out of bed early in the morning to go do your training sessions, but it's also about saying no to things. For example, if a family friend wants to do a late night, video call and you need to be getting to bed early, for a short time you might just have to say no to that type of thing. And that will come up on a day-to-day basis. Your decisions are, is this going to help me get a better result, or is this going to hold me back? So mindset is a key thing in relation to how you're going to be training up to your Hyrox, and indeed on the day as well, which we'll talk about in part 2. Simulation. I really think everybody should do a simulation before their first Hyrox if the time allows. So basically a simulation is just running through what you'll be doing on the day for Hyrox. So you'll have your 8-kilometer runs and you'll have your 8 stations as well. For me, whenever I signed up to the gym I wanted to get into, the Hyrox gym, they didn't have any space for me for the first 3 or 4 weeks. So that was fine. I just focused on my own training. But what I also did was I did a simulation. So I was back home in Ireland at Christmas. It was cold. I got my niece to do it with me, and we set up a simulation the best way we knew how, based off what we could find on the Hyrox website. So we had a 1-kilometer circuit laid out. We had a bit of a rock zone that we thought would be the right distance, and we'd set up the stations. And we did it. And I remember how it was very, very tough and it was freezing. But we got through it, and that's the key thing. If you do a simulation and you get through it and you don't die, then it gives you a lot of confidence knowing that no matter what, you can get through this. That's what I'd really encourage people, because it's brilliant to be going to the start line on race day for your first Hyrox knowing that you've done this already. The great thing is as well, you'll get your own time from doing your simulation, and you can compare that to all the global times. Every time that everybody's ever done in Hyrox is on the Hyrox website. So that's one of the great things about Hyrox. And it's divided by age category as well, so you can see where you are next to your peers. And also it highlights any areas that you might need to work on. So for me, for example, I found out that in the burpees I gassed out, and I thought I was quite good at burpees, but it's a different ball game when you've had, say 3-4 runs beforehand and 3 or 4 stations, and then doing burpees and going on a run before and after. So it was something that I had to focus on, and that simulation can help as well, so that you can focus on that area a little bit before your race day as well. Okay, so today on how to win your first Hyrox part 1, we went through choosing the right race category, training method, training plan, mindset, and simulation. On the next episode, which will be part 2, we're going to go through race day routine, warm up, which I believe is one of the most underrated aspects of a Hyrox race, and I've got some great insider tips and tricks on that can really help you. Also race strategy and tactics as well. Again, a lot of insider tips and tricks for that. So join me in the next one. Thanks very much.